Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the ground connection now. We'll have a look at the old one first. We're abandoning this old connection, this old ground rod, because I've no idea how long it is, and obviously I can't check how long it is because I can't pull it out, and it's really badly corroded anyway. Furthermore, I think it'd be better if the new ground rod was over the other side of the house anyway. Now, this old ground rod had actually been buried directly into concrete, which is obviously a really bad idea because it makes inspection impossible, and a lot of people forget that a ground connection should be available for inspection at any time. So that's the old one, which, as I said, we're abandoning. I'll just quickly talk about the old cable that was used. It's 2.5mm copper cable, which is completely inadequate for a number of reasons. It may be adequate for a TT system with residual current protection, but it's not good enough for what I have in mind, even though I'm using RCBOs. But just as importantly, such a thin cable doesn't inherently have any mechanical protection, and as it turns out, this cable wasn't even connected to the main ground bar in the consumer unit because a rat had bitten clean through this cable in the roof. So for goodness knows how many years, this house had no ground connection, even though we have a ground rod. So that's the old one. We're abandoning that. Let's go over to the other side of the house and have a look at the new one. Okay, here it is. The new cable comes out of the wall here. I've put it in 40mm HDPE conduit, so if I need to change this cable in the future, it'll be really easy to just pull it out and pull in a new cable. I've used 16mm cable, and it'd take a pretty big rat to bite through that. Not only that, if I decide to put the men link in the consumer unit in the future and make this house a TNCS ground system, this cable will handle any fault current we throw at it, and it really future-proofs us. I've coiled up some of the cable here, so I've got some spare if I need to renew the connection in the future. I've used a 3 meter ground rod. The minimum recommendation is 2.4 meters, but the longer the better, I guess. Obviously I cleaned it up with some sandpaper before I made the connection. As you can see, I've used 2 clamps for added strength. The clamps are available at Home Pro or Watsadu, and they cost nothing really. They're just a few baht, so it's worth that tiny expenditure for an extra clamp, in my opinion. Now, speaking about renewing the connection, some people say you should spray this with acrylic paint to protect it from corrosion, but I don't do that because that makes renewing the connection much harder in the future because you've got to sand off all the paint. Myself, I'd rather just deal with any corrosion if it happens. Now, as I said before, a ground connection should be available for inspection at any time. So I wanted to use an earth inspection pit, but I couldn't find one anywhere. Maybe they're available in Thailand, I don't know. They're certainly not in any of the places I went to. So I've ended up making my own inspection pit. I used my son's bucket and spade as a mould. Unfortunately, the bucket didn't survive the moulding process, so I've got to explain that to my son. I've squared off the concrete on my homemade inspections pit, so I can just put a slab straight on top of that to protect it, which I'll do now. Just bear with me. Okay, and there it is. It's an old slab I had lying around, which I've repurposed for my homemade inspection pit. I've marked it clearly, as you can see, so anyone can see that's the ground connection. And when the grass grows, that'll look pretty neat, and you can just roll the lawnmower straight over that, no problem. So that's it, a really good, high quality connection to the ground that you can easily inspect and maintain at any time.